about 3.85 trillion of the domestic debt in Nigeria, which constitutes about 23.15% of the country's domestic debt portfolio of 16.63 million. The federal government has about 12.77, representing about 76.84%. The states are Lagos, Delta, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom. When you look at this, the first question you want to ask is, what's the total domestic debt value to your revenue in terms of your budget? But the other thing you also have to think about is, how long are these debts going to last? Are they long-term debts or are they short-term debts? If they are short-term debts, then invariably it's obvious that many of the states will not be able to repay within 1 year, because when you consider their revenue generation in comparison to what the debt portfolios are saying, it's quite high. If you go down further, like I said, the debt to revenue ratio, if this is short term, is really not encouraging. So that's why you find the level of poverty in Nigeria is continually growing, because the revenues can even service their debt, and we're collecting more.
But I'd like to ask, I mean, what do you see as the factors affecting or leading to this kind of debt profile with states? Looking at the fact that IGR has been in question, internally generated revenue, vis-a-vis the state's dependence on the federal government for allocations.
Well, two things I would say. First and foremost, a lot of the states are not generating enough IGR to support their capital expenditure, which is why most of these states are borrowing these monies. A good example that you look at is, I was talking to Cheta Nwaeze. Bauchi State has 133.93 million in debt, foreign currency. How much are they generating in terms of revenue within the state? So it calls to question the management of the resources of this state. You're borrowing and borrowing, and you're leaving debts for the next generation to pay, and we're not even generating enough monies to even pay the current debts.
All right.
Just because I'd like you to answer this as well while you check this. It was also reported in another daily with regards to how much money the immediate past government had put the state in debt, and what the incoming governors were inheriting, and also the impact it would have obviously on their administration. So if you can touch answer the question.
Well, I think the first thing to point out is the fact that if you look at the list of debtor states, it's the states with the highest IGRs that are borrowing even more.
Yes.
What that tells me is, because we always need to look at economics with a prism of politics. What that tells me is that the patronage networks in these states are getting so they are essentially borrowing all these monies to pay. To settle people, as it were. The states with the least debt profiles are states that are not generating as much IGR as the others. Essentially, what that says is that they are bankrupt. They cannot. So we have, on one hand, some states are not making enough money. They are essentially living on federal government handouts, while some other states are making money but are making are putting a chain on the coming generations. What was I asked question again?
So with regards to
I mean, regards to you touched on it just in your last statement.
With regards to states, the immediate past governors administration, how they borrowed money, and the impact on the incoming governors.
It's a binge, basically. It's expanding patronage networks. At some point, it will simply become unsustainable, and the states will collapse under the weight. As natural as
even the new governments are going to borrow more to be able to meet the demands of.
You know why that worries me? Because now we're talking about minimum wage funding the 30,000 naira mark. Is it a problem that you see that could be
I don't know what you're talking about. The states have a very simple solution for this thing. They won't pay.
Yeah, and they told you they won't pay.
Okay, let's move on. There's a story of Nigeria now from Daily Times. We have this story, politics, APC. The House seems to be boiling over, or so it seems, based on the fact that the leadership has been facing a lot of backlash. And I say leadership, I'm even referring to one person, that's the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, that's Adams Oshiomhole. He has been receiving backlash. He's been receiving criticisms for the past week and more. the former national chairman of the All Progressives Party, Chief John Odigo, has joined the fray as the anti-Oshiomhole movement in the ruling party gathers momentum. Your thoughts on the party politics that's going on and what you perceive as happening in the coming weeks, Tunde?
Okay, so we have to talk about this.
Yes, we do.
Oshimole, and look, a lot of this has been in the media, and it's been going on pretty much since he was appointed as party chairman. Oshimole did, by Nigerian standards, was a decent governor. I'd stress by Nigerian standards again, but in a political sense, you can almost say he has two left feet, and he very often catches his foot in his mouth. With the statements he makes, not being his statements often end up offending his colleagues and his peers and people he's supposed to be trying to push, and all of them heading in the same direction. Oyegun describes him as a master of deception and confusion. I'm not sure it's that deep, but Oyegun goes on to say that he lacks what it requires to lead a political party in the 21st century, and that's a bit laughable. It's like our politics is modern, our own politics is not modern now. So that said, and Oshomole has tried. He's almost like Oshomole be able to carry on offending politicians, so he probably hasn't transitioned from that. He hasn't learned all
He's
the
still a comrade.
nuances you get in a bit. That thing.
Comrade.
Once a comrade, always a comrade.
Very wealthy comrade.
So Oyegun points that he says that he's tired of that he should stop blaming him because stories about them saying that Oyegun is undermining him, and he says, look. Just look to, and these are not my words, he says, look at Oshomole's Agbero style of engagement. And so the comrade is still in there. And Oshomole has tried his best to clean up and try to be, accepted by establishments. I mean, goodness, the man married a trophy wife. Everything is beautiful.
I take exception to that.
He's one thing. What more do you want, guys? I've cleaned up. Anyways, but it is what it is. It's mostly centered around his miscalculated statements, especially in public, and how it offends everyone. Look, the truth is, as again, one thing that Oyegun highlights in the story is that there were issues around that he didn't define, a template in their words. He didn't give, bottom line, what he's saying, he didn't give leadership at crucial points. And the truth remains, and the truth is that his political journey is still very short. He's in political terms, he's still infantile in a sense. He's still very young. He doesn't have the deep experience in political administration required for this type of role. So he's learning on the job. And the rest of them, while he's still their chairman, have to suck it up.
Very interesting analysis. Thank you, Tunde. Let's move on now to this next story, and I'll come to you for your analysis on this one, Cheta. Still traffic situation looming over our heads in Lagos. It seems to be a staple effect that we want to kick out as soon as possible. But repeatedly, we've gotten promises from the federal government, orders, counter orders, meetings, directives. The last one was just about a week or more ago, a week and a few days ago, where the federal government or the president directly gave 72 hours order for the traffic to be cleared up. But what seems to be playing out in this case is similar to what you experience on the streets of Lagos, where you see an official controlling traffic. In fact, when you see the traffic first, you just almost predict that there's an officer standing there, which is a bit of an irony. But your thoughts on this situation, Cheta?
Well, starting with the officers, the truth is that they're badly trained. Many of them don't even know the traffic laws. There was a time that I challenged one about the markings on the road, and that was a very bad mistake on my part because I ended up spending 3 hours there, essentially wasting my time. He knew that he had power to waste my time, and so he wasted my time. But he was completely wrong. And eventually, when we got to the office, because it was one of those days that I just finally, my head snapped. We eventually got to the office and his boss corrected him.
Oh, wow.
But it aided that the boss knew my voice. So that's another matter entirely. Now, in this traffic situation, there are tales that the security personnel on the ground have turned it into a money minting exercise. That's military guys, last mile guys, police guys, or that they extort the trailer drivers in order to get them their preferential parking space. A presidential order will not just magically say poof to that mentality and then it will disappear. That's one of the things. The truth is we have a structural problem. I think that in the coming weeks, the huge trailer park that Sanwo-Olu will commission in the coming weeks will temporarily solve a problem. it will make it go away for a bit. But the fundamental problem still remains that we have a country of almost 1,000,000 square kilometers, and pretty much everybody that is importing something has to come here. 2 ports out of 6. So it's Apapa and Tin Can that are functionally the only ports for almost everything that we import in the country. It's difficult to import stuff from One, from Warri, from Calabar, and from Port Harcourt. It's as in, and then the infrastructure. I know for a fact, because I saw it with my own eyes, that there was some real heavy duty equipment that were imported for Afam power plants through One, and they were marooned in One for months because there was simply no infrastructure to carry them out from One to Afam. That's the real problem, and that's the problem that needs to be solved. Every other thing is just putting rubbing rub on a festering wound.
All right,
Thank you,
let's take
Cheta.
some comments before we go on. Yinka here says, when Oshomole was on his way in, Okorocha said, and I quote, the APC needs Oshomole more than Oshomole needs the APC. I wonder what changed. But Chidozie from Festac is saying, we from Imo State wish to thank Adams Oshomole for stopping Rochester Okorocha and his family from converting our state to their property. He had the nerve to save Imo State from familocracy and Iberiberism. Long live Oshomole. Well, Femi has a differing view. Femi from VI says, he's trying to polish Oshomole. He has imploded the APC and driven it to its most controversial state in the last elections. The level of corruption he allegedly brought to the party primaries is unprecedented. We ought to speak the truth to situations, especially when on radio. Thanks for your view, Femi. And this one from Twitter is from Dapo Lua, who says, well said, Cheta, the debt binge that the states have gone on is not sustainable and it will soon collapse. I weep for my Kogi state.
All right. Yes, it's each one his own. And let's look at the story from the Guardian newspaper. Uade, I'll come back to you for your analysis on this story. On the second term, federal government, it seems to be revving up to scale up the incentives, national social investment programs, NSIPs, to reach more Nigerians in the second tenure, examining areas like, or ventures like Trader Money, Empire, and others. Please take us through this story.
This is very interesting. The special advisor to the president, Mairo-Ese, was saying that a lot has been done in respect of this Trader Money, Empire, and a number of programs that they have. But many times I ask, how are they promoting all these things? Who sees them? Do they have a website that we can go to?
Is it reaching the right people?
I was getting to that. Is it reaching the right people? She said something. She said the program has been on since 2016, and but it got more attention during the elections. Excuse me, 2 years down the line before people now start to notice that you're giving out this trade.
But you understand that. I mean,
that was due to the timing and how it was handed out around the election.
Okay, but it still calls to question quite a number of things.
I mean, if I may, but for me, the biggest thing with this is when you do any program, you should be able to measure.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And today there is no verifiable way or mechanism to measure. It's like a basket, and you're trying to fetch what's in a basket. There's certain basic things that should be put in place. We don't have it's a good idea. It's beyond a good idea. We need social safety nets in a nation like ours, right? We need them, no doubt. But certain things sort of need to come first, or should be accelerated. Things like making sure that we have and we can clearly identify each and every Nigerian, social security numbers, identification, so we know who money is going to.
And how you monitor these things.
The rate of financial inclusion is still very low. I know the government is pushing in many ways on that, but don't just hand out 20k in cash or in whichever
at
method.
Least in the first quarter,
people
do
to
something.
Open first tier accounts. Even if you don't, at least first tier KYCs, anyone can open if you're giving the guy 20k, so that we know. And down the line tomorrow, it can be audited. Right? It won't start out by being 100% clean, but you're leaving a data trail that can be checked years down the line and people start to improve. Not this one that they're handing money out.
Data is very important,
Where are you
especially,
from?
I mean, after the first,
Money is
like
just
I was going to say, after the
Where
first
are you? Where
quarter,
do you
you
think you
should, Cheta, after the first quarter, you should at least be able to see or do some impact assessments
Yes,
to
and
analyze the
that for me is
extent.
the biggest part of it. How do you monitor all these things? Like
Exactly.
Tunde said, you're just giving monies to people. You give
Give
Uade
money to
10,000
yourself.
tomorrow.
I don't know what these
and his
people are
interest
talking
free loan.
about.
So
Why
Give
is
money to
that?
yourself.
Don't you know what
Cheta
people
wants his
See,
own.
we're in Nigeria. And I know I hate that expression too, but the way it is it's better to just throw the money. See, the biggest letdown in all of this was the Anchor Borrowers program. It was, we have Nigeria's adult population is 38% banked. That's what we're told. We had a huge opportunity, and the plan by Akin Adesina with the Anchor Borrowers program, when the idea was initially floated, was to make these people open bank accounts so that the money will be given to them.
precisely
So
what
they
I
can
said.
track.
That's what
But our
saying.
political elites prefer a situation where they can go and just give the cash, and I mean the guys take the cash, go and marry wives.
Or
Well-
say that they give the cash. That's the more important thing.
Thank you very much.
gentlemen. Let's move on.
Right, one comment from Bidemi.
Bidemi says the presidential task force on clearing articulated trucks should please extend the enforcement to the Yanisolo end of Apapa Oshodi Expressway, where the Dangote trucks are permanently parked.
To mention this one with regards to the toll, a number of people have experienced traffic. Babs is highlighting that from WhatsApp. Lucky people are in perpetual bondage of toll gate induced traffic. I don't know what's
Yeah,
going
I
on.
saw that
In
this
fact,
morning, man.
Because all the gates are never open.
That's me this morning.
Not just that. That has been a constant problem. Precisely this morning, right?
Yes.
I had an issue where the e-toll were both
We're blocked, yeah.
So I went through the normal, not manual, whatever, that they collect cash. But you know that those ones have panels.
Yes.
But the guy told me the panel has been bad for a long time.
It's not been working.
I spoke to my supervisor about it. These were his words. I spoke to my supervisor about it, but nothing has been done.
Yeah.
So
And then he asked me if I have cash.
Yeah.
Isn't it
The same thing
shameful?
happened to
I had
me.
to beg last week because I usually don't carry money, aka cashless Lagos.
Right.
And I have e-tag and it wasn't working. I had to go to the normal route and it said it wasn't. It's I don't know. We're paying.
So why
for
not
this
open
service.
everything? If let's
Oh,
not
it's amazing.
let's not
Alright,
digress.
Let's move on.
It's
But thanks a
something
lot for highlighting that, Babs. You just had to touch on that. Tunde, let me come to you for this next story. Punch newspaper has this: a lawyer is to sue Buhari over aides working without reappointment. The lawyer's name, Ini Behe Ifyong, and he's approached the Federal High Court for interpretation and enforcement of Section 151 and 171 of the 1999 Constitution. Some of the things it mentioned is that it was that the fact that the aides have continued in office despite the fact that they've moved, even though it's a successive
tenure,
government,
but the tenure,
it stopped. Now, why is this news? Again, apart from the fact that yes, it does have merit, but another thing is that we're talking about appointment and the time factor. So let's say the president didn't know whether or not he was going to win the elections 4 years ago, but he had enough time to plan ahead. So why the delay in making appointments? Please take us through this story.
So other than the items of law, I mean, the big thing here, which is, look, it's been 4 years now, right? So we should be used to it. It's go slow.
No, but he
let's just
said
take
that
things-
he's not Baba Goslow anymore.
Yeah, okay. When did you say that?
It was about 2 weeks
2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see how it goes. Maybe it will improve the traffic.
So and then beyond the reappointment, he talks about the remuneration of the aides and everything. I know we've discussed this. These things are important. Now, it's very easy to snigger at individuals and Nigerians. This is what being a good Nigerian is, by the way.
Yes.
Right? When people take these issues up and go to court the proper way, not protesting, standing out, praying placards so that they can share money for you and you go away. But we do have laws and we have courts. They may not be perfect, but work within the system and see how you can change things. So to me, it's good. It has merit. And his points, for example, his points is the Constitution that you have to reappoint. That's why we re-inaugurated. Yeah, it was the same person I won, but there was an inauguration on 29th to say this is a new dispensation. The cabinet, all advisors, everything ceases to work. So he's pointed out quite rightly, according to the Constitution, that people making statements on behalf of the president are doing so sort of
Legally.
I don't want to say illegally, but yeah, that's what it is. Against according to the law. He's pointed to governors such as El Rufai, who have reappointed. Now I'm very sure, knowing our government, and this is not the only thing that they've been slow on. So we're kind of tired of leadership in the media. your actions will speak louder than words.
Yes.
Don't just say stuff. Let's see it. Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say.
Right, while you think about it, let's move on to our next story because of time. But thank you very much. Points well taken in terms of moving quick, and the fact that we as Nigerians need to start stepping up to go in the legal route.
Yeah. I'm sure what this government is going to say is that, look, we have reappointed. We just haven't announced. Yeah. And then it'll come down to a question in law as to when and how and if they have to make a public announcement. I'm sure they always explain these things away. But yeah.
Thank you very much.
Cheta.
Cheta, let's look at security and some statements made. Guardian has this headline: Kajuru killings. Kaduna accuses Odinkalu of making incendiary statement. So Kaduna State Government has asked the police to investigate the former chairman of the Governing Council of the National Human Rights Commission, Dr. Chidi Odinkalu, for allegedly inciting the public against the state. Please, very quickly.
Let me quote Professor Odinkalu's statements, because he said it on television. It wasn't hidden. He said it on March 16th February. He said, "I will keep coming back to this Kajuru story because we must never allow that story to get away. 66 Nigerians killed is 66 too many. If anybody claims that 66 people were killed in Kajuru this week, including the governor of Kaduna State, let us go and verify that 66 people were indeed killed. I'm not willing to allow that story go away." It's important to quote that because I don't see anything incendiary in that, and I know that I wasn't listening in class in school, but somebody should
But what they said was the numbers he had quoted. That was what they had to challenge with.
which is they've even raised the numbers. But you see, let us remember, because it's important to draw this. Because we were actually working on a project around the area when that happened. Some of my people went there, and it was like, what's happening here? People didn't know that. As in, people denied to my hearing, as in that such a thing happened. So here's the problem. A few days before the originally scheduled presidential election, Nasir El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, announced that, in his words, more than 66 Fulani people had been killed. He said it again, it was on TV. He was specific, Fulani people. He made it appear as if it was a single event that happened. Now, when you consider that this is a very volatile area and that there have been tit-for-tat attacks in the area between the various peoples of Southern Kaduna, particularly the Adara people at this point in time, and then the Fulani, you'll find that, in my view, the statement of the governor itself was incendiary by specifically. Now, the Southern Kaduna Progressive Union, SOKAPU, almost immediately issued a rebuttal, pointed out that there was an early attack on the Adara town, Ungwan Brady, and pointed out that El-Rufai had not mentioned that. So it now leads you to ask the question, is El-Rufai the governor of all Kaduna people or just the Fulani people of Kaduna? And this was what led to Odinkalu's statement. So these things are things that we have to be very careful about, because, number one, till today, there is no material proof that 66 people were killed in a single attack. Now, hundreds of people have been killed in that region. There have been there's been a lot of violence in that region for a long time. I go there occasionally, and it's becoming more difficult to go there. So there is an ongoing conflict. But if leaders are not sincere about this conflict, then we have a problem. From my view, I think this is just an attempt to shut Odinkalu up.
All right. Thank you very much, Cheta. Right, Uade, I'll come to you because we need to touch on this in 1 minute. Federal government raises tax on cigarette pack to 40 naira, Vanguard News reports.
Well,
after all the rumors of a tax increase.
well, it's fine. Why? Because maybe it would reduce the number of smokers. The cost of cigarettes. A pack of cigarettes will probably go up. I don't know if it will reduce the number of smokers. Maybe it will increase.
That's the reason why they've done this, to discourage people from.
That's what they say, because they said about 16,100 people die every year from smoking in Nigeria.
They said, or the fact? Well, it's underreported.
That's what was reported in the 6th edition. I don't know how. I don't know. I didn't do the research. So
okay.
I really don't know.
Okay.
But I'll let you come in now. But at the end of the day, it's more revenue for government, but it's also sinking sinking what's it called, the pockets of those who smoke.
Yeah, that's my issue. Is the more revenue part. The raising taxes has shown it doesn't reduce the people's smoking. What is that? You deprive themselves of other necessities to feed that habit. Now on the revenue side, it shouldn't just be the reason why other governments, we copy things from the West and don't implement. The reason why they have high taxes on products and produce like this is because they fund the health care scheme. These things lead to a lot more disease. So there'll be very high tariffs on products like tobacco, so that it goes directly into the national health care scheme to provide healthcare for these guys. This one is just going. It's more money going to line the pockets of the individuals.
Thank you very much. That's another thing with the question here. When money is being raised or when it's being taken from one part to another, we want to see evidence of where it's being channeled to, and that's something that is not very consistent.
Well, in Nigeria, everything goes into a central account. So how they dispose it, that's where the issues are.
That's what we want to hear. How it's dispersed.
And that's why what Tunde said really makes sense. Is it directly going to go into the health sector?
All right. Thank you very much.
Quick message here from Yinka. Yinka says, my advice to Barrister Ifyong suing Buhari in court is please take a cue from the other dude that took the CJN to court recently on age issues. He's been asked to pay 10 million naira. I do not want to imagine how much he'll be asked to pay when his time comes. So,
Bullying.
You see how they intimidate
says,
good citizens.
I was going to say that I don't think we should be discouraged by
no,
that.
we shouldn't. Z says, talking of Nigerians, our enabling attitude sickens me. So you pay for an e-tag, get there, it's not working, so you start looking for cash. Simply stay there and refuse to pay until they let you go. If everybody stands for what this, what it is, or what they have to stand for, what will happen? But then again, we're Lagosians, always in a hurry. So we'd rather pay than waste time protesting. Yet we want to fix Nigeria.
Thank you very much for that, Z. Tunde, I'll take the story with you. Government assistance not getting to us, rice farmers cry out. Very quickly, just to highlight what the issues are.
Again, this is one of, and this is not new, and this is something has plagued every government that has tried this, not just Buhari's government. Every government from Obasanjo down, they've all had a focus on agriculture and said, look, we will get funds directly to you. And they've tried different ways. They've tried using the, Apex Bank. They've tried using BOI. They've tried using private banks. The money's just never find a way of coming down to the people who are actually there. And that's what the story is about. And it points to those things where we're governing, it's media governance. We say things, but then things don't translate in people. I'll just highlight one area where it says the government should have, the money is hijacked by middlemen. Bottom line, the money never really gets down there because of time. But that's the issue.
But my real question is, how do you verify? Because I know that this, say farmers or different, they work in unions. So who are the leaders of the unions, and what measures is the government taking to identify the true legitimate unions?
So it shouldn't be about even legitimate unions. They have people they know people who are farming now on the ground. It's not briefcase farmer.
You don't even need all of that union nonsense. Get these people to open accounts. We went to Goronyo in Sokoto to do a survey of farmers. Not one had an account.
They had them cash by hand. How do you measure that? And then you give them 20K. What does 20K do?
Thank you very much. This last story is quite important to take. I'll just take a statement from you. So just summarize your thoughts in one statement. Polio vaccination, Nigerian soldiers to lead health workers to hostile locations, says Chief of Army Staff Tukur Buratai.
One statement.
Cheta, please be serious. Go on.
She said I should say one statement, so I said one statement. See, basically, it's an admission that this war is not, or forget all the hubris that they've been doing. This is an admission that there is still a problem. And the fact that that a faction of Boko Haram, we don't know which yet, attacked a military base in Maiduguri over the weekend, that's a problem. It tells you that there is still a major problem.
Thank you, Cheta, for that brief.
One statement.
Ejiro Amanda on YouTube actually sent this one. It says the gridlock in Apapa has not changed. I'm in traffic right now. The trailers and tankers are all over the place.
Enjoy yourself.
And Chooks and Kencho says, Ayadele, but you said one statement. Okay. It was Ayo actually. You meant to say Ayo. Agop says tax on cigarettes is not going to reduce the number of smokers. How about enforcing the laws that bar people from smoking in public?
In public, thank you.
Optics. Ifoma from Ikoyi says 16,000 people died due to smoking. I doubt the question for the panel. When last did you actually see anyone smoking here? Here's where.
here is where
Thank you, Tom.
I don't personally, but you know,
Yeah.
depends on.
Special thanks to our analysts. We have Tunde Okufi at Big Coops on Twitter, at Cheta is at Checkstar, and Uade is at Ring Nigeria 2017. Next, we talk sports. Liverpool. You'll never walk alone, eh?
Yeah, Tega has warned us that today's locker room will be like the grapevine.
Lit.
So
Very
it'll be lit.
interesting. Stay